It's tax cuts with me or tax rises with Keir Starmer, says Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as he starts drawing up his next budget in March. Amidst rumours of plans to slash income tax and national insurance, Sunak says the economy is beginning to turn a corner. But is that true? Well, joining me now is the man who knows the answer to that. It's Liam Halligan, GB News' economics and business editor with On the Money. So, an election's coming up, Liam.
Really?
And once again, it's the economy, stupid. But seriously, it's tax cuts or die, surely, for Rishi.
Look, the Tories are trying desperately to get a narrative running that the economy's improving, there's more money in your pocket, inflation's coming down, interest rates are coming down, retail sales are going up, there's a feel-good factor coming. It's round the corner. Here it comes, which is why they want to have an election in sort of September, October, November, rather than April or May. They're desperately trying to get attention away from the mess, almost said a rude word there, in the House of Commons, as Rishi Sunak tries to tackle this small boats problem with a lot of opposition, of course, coming from within his own party. So we had Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor at the sort of swanky Gab Fest in Switzerland, Davos, saying that Labour's now the party of low taxation. We want to celebrate success. We want to cut the top rate of tax, says Labour. Crikey, when Liz Truss said that, everybody thought she was mad, didn't they? But that's because there's an election coming, so people get a little bit economical with the actuality, as the great political diarist Alan Clark once said. So look, Rishi Sunak has tried to grab the narrative. He's written an article in The Sun, and this is what he said about tax. I've been working flat out to get the economy back on track, says the Prime Minister, by halving inflation, reducing debt and boosting growth. Where we can, we will always prioritise tax cuts to put more of people's money in their pockets. But of course, Rishi Sunak as Chancellor and Jeremy Hunt now as Chancellor, they've presided over tax rises, not least those stealth taxes, freezing the thresholds where tax starts at the basic rate, the upper rates, the top rates. So more and more people get dragged into those tax brackets. Taxation, Martin, the so-called tax burden, the share of the economy taken by tax, is at a 70-year high. Crikey, and this is a Conservative government. And that's why Labour are coming back saying, no, you're not the low tax party, we're the low tax party. Here we have Darren Jones, he's a shadow Treasury Minister, he's one of Rachel Reeves's juniors, we're going to be hearing a lot more from him. Here he is. This Tory government is the highest taxing government of all time in this country. That's not quite true, but it is on some definitions, I guess. And no amount of doublespeak will make people forget that. The Tories have failed. Look, in the end, UK elections, as you know well, Martin, you've been a politician yourself, an elected politician, they're one in the centre ground. You've got about a third of people on the right, you've got about a third of people on the left, then you've got a third of people in the middle, the so-called swing voters, and they're going to vote on what we call pocketbook and wallet issues. Am I going to be better off? Is my family going to be better off? And that comes down to tax. Yes, immigration is important in this election. Yes, issues to do with Europe and Brexit may still be important. All kinds of other issues. But it's always about the economy, stupid, as you said, and that's about tax.
The big question is, though, the biscuit tin is completely empty. 2.6 trillion in debt, which makes small beer of that Liam Byrne, there's no money left note. How can they afford tax cuts?
There is a lot of debt, but if you can get growth going, then you generate more tax revenue, there's more activity, and the budget deficit starts to fall, and then you can maybe afford tax cuts. That's certainly what Jeremy Hunt is hoping. He's got a budget on March the 6th. He's looking for what they call that fiscal headroom. There'll be lots of arm twisting going on with the Office for Budget Responsibility, the kind of in-the-dark civil servants, as it were, who basically say if the government's got the fiscal room for manoeuvre to do what it wants to do in terms of both spending and lower taxes. There is objectively signs of a bit more fiscal headroom now, but crikey, the Tories have got a long way to go, because a lot of people are really upset by those stealth taxes. Sunak is now determining which kind of taxes they want to cut. For a long time, the Tories have been saying they want to cut inheritance tax. I personally think that's nuts, because that only really applies to relatively well-off families. I think they should be cutting what we call the starting rate of income tax, raising the personal allowance to take people, it's currently 12.5 grand, all the way up to £20,000. So if you earn less than £20,000 a year, the average wage is about £32,000, then you don't actually pay any income tax. Of course, you're still paying VAT, still paying council tax, lots of other taxes. I've been arguing that in my Telegraph column for months and months and months. It seems Downing Street, with this article from Sunak, is now coming round to that point of view, because Sunak is talking about cutting personal taxes, cutting national insurance a bit more. I wouldn't do the top rate of tax, though. Again, it's a small number of people. I would start with the basic rate of income tax, the personal allowance, so as many people as possible benefit. If you look at those, if you raise the top rate, the basic rate starting allowance to £20,000, you take 3 or 4 million people out of tax, including a lot of people who get the basic state pension, of course, on which we are taxed.
Superb. OK, Liam Halligan, it's almost like Rishi Sunak reads your Telegraph column. Always a pleasure. Good lad.
That's been said.